Edited.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, this is Paul with the Ocean Cam with...
I'm Steven. Yeah,
I'm Pim.
Cool. And they're going to talk about what's going on here with all the different vehicles coming and going. I'm going to hold the umbrella.
Okay, yeah, hi. I'm Steven, I'm the Shard Baby. I do progress drawings for various projects in the UK and also for the Cape and the Mega Bay. So the thing is, I've got a structural engineering background, so I've kind of been following this as an engineer. So I've come from the UK for the second time. I was here in December, and now I'm here again for a month. And yeah, I'm back here.
So he was telling me that he's 24 years old and he's an engineer too.
Yeah.
And what kind of work do you do?
I'm Pim. I'm from the Netherlands.
Okay, cool.
I'm a lab technician. I work in the laboratory.
Oh, cool. And you said you saw the quick disconnect move?
Yes, I saw it moving shortly. I don't know if it was the wind or it was the actual movement of the, but I saw it moving back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, because the reason why I'm really here is because I was expecting to see the launch, and the thing is, right now it's probably one of the most exciting times in the history of spaceflight, because we're about to see Starship Super Heavy, the first of this rocket system that's going to go to space. It's right here. You see Booster 7, you see Ship 24. They're going to be paired together, and I mean, the most exciting thing is that, I mean, the day before I was here, they just lifted the booster onto the chopsticks for the first time ever. And I think they only really did that recently because they were calibrating the clamps underneath the OLM, which is 21 meters tall, basically 6 to 9 feet tall. It's just seeing the scale of this is quite impressive, and things in the last few days, it's just got really exciting because you're kind of seeing that, like, all the pieces that are preparing for orbital launch are coming together. And the thing is, it's the SpaceX way. They just try things, they go for things, and there's only so much information you can find out from a simulation. So what's kind of really cool that I've seen recently when I was here is just kind of having we're just watchers. We just kind of speculate about what goes on. It's like we're kind of getting this idea that it's really close to the launch now, because you can see that they recently tested B7.1, and B7.1 is the test tank, which is right next to it's over. You can see it in the shot, yeah. But yeah, it's part Booster 7, and it's part of the forward dome of Booster 7 and part of the aft section of Booster 7 as well. And basically, it's on what we fondly refer to it as the can crusher. It's basically this test apparatus which is compressing the booster via an axial load that's evenly distributed around the top of the booster segments, of the ring segments. And basically this max, it's to simulate max Q, which is the maximum vehicle forces that will be on the vehicle during the flight. So basically, we saw that happen, I think it was about a couple of days ago. It was the same day that they rolled Booster 5, which is really interesting because we've seen that Booster 4 has been here at the launch site since kind of end of sort of Q3 2021. So it's been there for a very long time. But interestingly, we got a brand new test tank called E-Dome, which is another one of those pressure tanks. So hopefully it doesn't go wrong here again.
EVO, right?
Yeah, because it was like it's exactly. We're kind of thinking it's the same type of test that they're going to do that they did with GSC4, I mean, we remember that quite well here. That basically they're going to fill the vehicle with liquid nitrogen again, to test the welds, test the structural integrity, because the speculation is that this is a flatter type of dome, and the idea is that possibly by flattening the dome, you definitely got more space in the vehicle. You've also got less material, so therefore less material means that you need less payload to take it to orbit. Less propellant. Less propellant in the tank, and that means you can get more. You could possibly get more space for payload, and ideally, and this is why I think Elon said that he was going to elongate the ship, rather, that it's to add as much space as possible in the vehicle. So having a flatter dome means that you'll be able to make some design changes in the ship that allow more Starlink V2s, because the things about the Starlink V2s
You might be able to clip that onto your thing here.
Oh yeah, oh sure, yeah.
I forgot to.
That's fine, yeah.
I can edit.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So you were saying that is like a more flatter structure inside that.
Yeah.
And they're going to do a burst test on it.
They're going to do a burst
And
test.
since it's flatter,
Yeah, I
maybe
think
the
so.
Starship will be able to be longer, is what you were saying.
Yes, because the thing about the thing about the Starlink V2s is that they're 7 meters wide, and the thing about the geometry of the nose cone in the payload section is that, I mean, the thinking is that some of that is going to be taken up by, it's definitely taken out by the header tank, and also space for the new header tank somewhere, whatever the new design is. But there's still a lot of extra. It's not as an efficient use of space as probably SpaceX may have intended with an original Starlink design, because the Starlink V1s are much smaller. So it's possible they might be elongating the ship just purely to fit more Starlinks inside the vehicle. So that's possibly, that's very possibly why they're making those design changes. I mean, I don't work for SpaceX. This is all just observation. But yeah, I think that it's been really interesting the last few days because of the way that all the pieces have been moving around the site. So like B5 had purposely gone into the mega bay to be scrapped, because it doesn't have as much historical significance as Booster 4, because Booster 4 was, of course, the first ever Starship stack, and there were three. Well, of course, they did the whole stack 3 times. So it's like they, of course, they're going to keep Booster 4 in Ship 20. And the thing is, there's only one pad for one foundation pad for boosters at the Rocket Garden. So basically, B5 had to go. And the thing is, B4. I think, B4 definitely had to move quite recently, because they're going to do this test on the E-dome, because it could pop. And the thing is, you don't really want your really special we really don't want to see something happen to B4, because that's it's a rocket that's very important to us, and I guess it's historically it's something I think that they're going to keep like Hoppy for many years.
Where are you from?
Yeah.
I'm from the Netherlands.
And you're from where?
I'm from London. In the UK, yeah. And this is the thing. It's seeing these kind of pieces move around. So I think that they're going to get these. They got a few road closures in the next few days. They got one in the 5th and the 6th and the 7th. And I think. I mean, this might be broadcast and it might be changed because I'm saying something about it. This is just speculation. That they're gonna do this test in the next week, and they're gonna do a second test of B7.1, and then we might see all of those roll out the way, and then I think we're also going to see Ship 24 move, because they're they've still got scaffolding up on B7, so I don't think B7 is going to be static firing testing until possibly the week afterwards.
So you're saying what date would that be the week after? The 10th,
10th, 11th, 12th,
okay.
Depending on if there's a road closure then.
Okay. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. But I think Ship 24 is going to roll out because they've just put all the Starlinks in. They've probably got all those engines inside, and Pad B looks just about ready because of course they've reconfigured Pad B recently. So hopefully, yeah.
What about the different ships going back and forth? So 24 and what?
Oh yeah, because I mean Ship 20 is obsolete because it had Raptor 1s, and then SN24 is going to be, well, that's Elon said that's going to be the one that's going to go to orbit in Elon's interview. So
which one is this here?
Oh, that's booster 7.
7.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 724. I think they're going to be launched around August because I think this is a booster static fire campaign. They've never ever done a booster static fire before, other than the 3 that were on BN3, which was quite. That was kind of procedure with the ships, but I'm kind of expecting it's going to take a bit longer because it's never been tested. Like with the ships, every time they did a static fire, I mean they had 3 on the vehicle, and sometimes they switch out all 3. So I'm thinking that it's going to take a long time because you got literally 11 times as many engines on B7 than you have on a ship. So I think they're going to be switching them out all the time. So that's possibly why Booster 4 wasn't launched, because my thinking is that they had 29 engines on they had Raptor 1 engines on that, and I think they switched to Raptor 2 quite early on, so they didn't have so many spare Raptor 1s, and it would have been quite a risk to send Booster 4 with those obsolete Raptors, and of course they wouldn't be able to switch them round. So it could have got to the point where they had those few Raptors on it that were not flight worthy, and they would just have to risk it with the launch. And then I just think at the end of the day they decided it's probably best not to do that because you don't really want to lose stage 0. But yeah, I'm expecting that Ship or SN24, because Elon said it's SN24 on Twitter, that's going to come around next week, hopefully, because they've already done the procedure. They're installing the engines, and it's kind of a procedure of each ship that they do a cryo test first to basically make sure it's leak proof, and then they transferred it onto the more rigorous structural test stand. Yeah, and then. That's when they
the tiling as well.
They had to finish the tiling. Yeah, they had to return it to the bay to do the final tiling. But crucially, they couldn't install the engines on SN24 until after they'd done the thrust ram test, the structural test, the work on the structural test stand, or pad A basically, because that's been recently reconfigured so that it's to simulate flight basically. So you have in order to make sure it's completely safe before you put propellants into it, you've got to make sure it's not going to leak when you fill it up with cryogenic liquid nitrogen at pressure. That's whilst also simulating the flights by using the thrust rams to simulate the force of the engines on the vehicle. So basically, you've got I've noticed this with the ships, is that they always did a cryo. They always, then if it's leak proof, then it was okay to do the engine thrust round test, and then once the engine test is okay and it's structurally sound, only then it's safe to put the propellants in, because you don't want to put some propellants into a vehicle that's not structurally sound. So that's basically why SN24 had to go. Yeah, back. Yeah.
Just on you right now. You're not in the team right now, but if you
Okay,
want to be.
that's okay.
But yeah,
Anything, so.
it looks like it's very close to the static fires, which is incredible, really, because they've also put the payloads inside the Starlinks inside SM24 before they've done static fire. So all the signs is that this is very, very close, and this is very, very exciting, because that's the first Starship that's ever going to go to space. I mean, what you're seeing and what you're witnessing right now, or what you're looking back on, is a moment in history that we're at this point where they've not tested this vehicle into space. They never got that data before, and this is eventually going to go to make rockets that are going to replace aeroplanes on Earth, because and it's going to be much more beneficial for the planet, because you have methalox fuel, which is coming from is being made via the I think this is the Sabatier reaction I'm describing, where you heat carbon dioxide and water together. You're taking carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. I mean, you burn it, but basically it's a very clean fuel. And the thing is, it's not like other rockets where it's they don't really use all the fuel. They're using all the fuel here. It burns very, very efficiently, which is much different from most other rocket systems that have come before it. And it's all fully reusable. So eventually it's going to have this cadence to work like an aeroplane, and at the same time, if it replaces aeroplanes, imagine how much CO2 that's saving. You've got all the sort of long distance journeys that on Earth are being replaced by basically a rocket that burns very cleanly. And also you've got Hyperloop, which is going to cover short distances on Earth. And the thing is, you've also got the tunnel boring machine, which is about, I recall that the diameter is 8 to 8.25 meters, or 8.5 meters. I mean, and that fits perfectly inside a Starship payload bay. So basically, this is all ready to go to Mars, because you can set up a system on Mars where you can transport people between cities on Mars, but also you can use a Starship to get from point to point. So all of this is SpaceX are very, very good at you see the civil side of things, civil engineering side of things, where they make sure that it's like the optimal order of in which to get to a goal. And a really cool thing about Starship is you're not really testing. You've got loads of teams working. You've got loads of engineers working on it, and they all make like slight changes. But really, it's not like another company. It's not like with any other rocket, where they basically test all the other systems first, and they make sure that all those systems are okay before they put it all into one system. They test the system, and that way you get to your results faster, because you find out like everything that's happening with the rocket during flight. That data is so valuable. So I'm thinking that's why they're going to try to get the 5 launches in this year, because the final PEA, it doesn't exactly say that it's every calendar year that you can only do 5 orbital launches, and they can also do 5 suborbital launches. Which could be useful. It would be very useful just to do any sort of data testing. But I'm thinking that they're going to get these 5 done by the end of the year. Because I think that's why Elon was pushing to do it by the end of the year, because we want to know sooner, as soon as possible, because you find out you've got 1,000 things that you need to solve between now and Mars, but it's the SpaceX way, is that you've got like a bunch of parts that you're testing at the same time, and you're making as many you're taking as many steps as you can in one go. And it's a lot. It's a lot different than other companies. and they do things the right way. It's not just a system to sort of make a rocket because you have to make a rocket. They're doing it because this is essential, this is necessary, and that's why I look to SpaceX. I like to follow what they're doing, yeah.
What do you think about the OCEAN mission and some of your thoughts? You said you watched the channel for a while in the beginning.
Oh yeah, because I'm really excited about that, because this is the most amazing thing, is that Starship is a huge step up from what the capabilities of what we could do for Mars, what we could do for going into space before. But the thing is, it's a necessity as part of the Starship mission that we must explore. We must find other worlds that are habitable. We must find places where there is water to drink, and that's also going to be very useful, because you can take the water and you can take carbon dioxide, and it makes you fuel. So I think this is right here in the top of the priority in terms of what we're going to do with Starship. We're not just going to build a colony, because the colony does it does many things for the planet. For example, if there's an asteroid strike, or if you've got Kepler syndrome in space where we can't launch because we've got orbital debris going at 17,500 miles an hour, basically orbital speeds, that might mean that anything going up will be torn to shreds. We can't escape Earth. So you do need that backup to clear up everything in space. But actually, I think that's just step one. So it is going to be vital, these first few missions, to other worlds where there is water, and there's something to show people on Earth. Like, because we're not just confined to one planet. The human race is a human species, and it's going to spread out. We're going to become part of the universe. It's not just going to be. We gotta learn that. It's.
We're going to expand beyond
Mars.
Not just a one destination. It's multi.
Yeah.
Cool. So how do they contact you? Or you're here a couple more weeks, you said?
I'm here until July the 24th, because I've got to graduate, because I studied structural engineering at Architecture University. That's basically because I grew up in London. I follow tall building projects, so I watched the Shard when I was growing up, and the most amazing thing was seeing that change every single day. And this is why I've never been to the States before. I was here in December, and I remember coming off the being majorly jet lagged, and just being in complete awe of what's here, because I've come back because I love seeing places change. I love seeing places progress and it's like what SpaceX is doing. They're making things better, not just better on Earth, but better for what's our scope of understanding, and to be able to go out to the stars and learn more, and hopefully learn more about maybe other species out there. And I think that's going to be a very interesting times where we're not just mankind, but we're all going for the universe. But yeah, I followed the Shard every single day when I was a kid, that got me inspired to do engineering. There's this building called the Lenhill Building, which is designed by Roger Sturt Carver and Partners, and it really got me into engineering and sort of why a building's designed in a particular way, and it's actually got me thinking, because this skyscraper has a mega frame. It's actually called that. So it's a bit like the Mega Bay. In terms of the way it's constructed, there's a distinctive. It was built in seven-story segments. So it's like this idea. You've got like the tower. It went up. It's modular construction, and I think this is going to be very important on Mars or anywhere else in the universe, because you could basically fit a piece of a structural module inside a starship, and you could take that to another planet. Right at the beginning, when you've got no resources and you're bringing the resources to the planet. So that's what, it's that building is one example where the engineering was not just the architecture, but the engineering was also. It's a very practical design. It was designed for constructability in mind, which is really great, because I'm seeing this in action right here. There are lots of projects around that in practice are quite limited by what we can do with the way things are organised on Earth. So it's very inspiring, the SpaceX way in which they're doing it very differently, because we do have to. It's like we do have to go to another planet, and things. We've got to get it. We've got to test it on Earth. We've got to make sure it gets right on Earth, because it's not like once we're there, everything's we're by ourselves. We've just got what we've brought with us. So it's like what it's quite amazing, like what's happening here. They are building it in the middle of nowhere. We've also got streamers. We've also got streamers like Paul who are coming out like here all the time in these harsh. It's really hot. I mean, I'm from the UK, being sunburned and stuff, and it's showing. It's kind of like everything. It's all sort of research and development here, and that's really exciting, because it means we're making progress in sort of what we understand. That's why I'm interested in engineering. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter. I'm the Shard Baby, at Shard_baby. I was quite young when I made it. Actually, it's named after named after my dog, and named after the building next to the Shard, which was nicknamed the Baby Shard. And I've also got a YouTube channel, because I make progress updates for Mega Bay and the Capes, as I mentioned before. So you can find those on Twitter. I'm building a website, a brand new website actually, and I've got a YouTube channel where I make time lapses. I made because I was following the construction of a Shard every single day when I was a kid, to kind of learn how buildings are put together, which is why I can kind of see like what's going on here. And I made a whole time lapse sequence of the Shard. It's just like what people are doing here, which is amazing. So yeah.
So since you're an engineer, you've been doing a lot of designs on Twitter. You've been posting them there too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I recommend checking out his Twitter page. He's got a lot of designs and stuff that he's put up there.
Yeah. And I'm also trying to push. I'm trying to push us to design with more sustainable materials like timber and stone, which could replace concrete. Because I studied that for my dissertation and designed 300 metre. The limit of timber before was 300 metres, but then I kind of put 2 and 2 together to find a strategy that made buildings up to 600 metres tall, or 600 metres plus. And this is the exciting thing: you could replace timber with steel. So if you want to check that out, check out my Twitter. I'm going to be posting about that.
What kind of material for that tall building?
Oh, glue laminated timber. So it's basically an engineered timber, where basically you're maximising the strength of timbers in their, or softwood timbers in their parallel to grain direction, and it's quite a new material. So basically you could replace concrete and steel structures with timber. Hopefully one day you can grow that on Mars. You can grow trees on Mars and make them buildings, and it's a massive. I mean, you kind of do want to pollute Mars to make an atmosphere, but kind of at the same time, it would be good to do something that's helpful on Earth and helpful on Mars by not having to carry so many resources to the red planet.
There's a lot of carbon dioxide there, right?
Yeah, 33. Yeah,
so if we put those trees there, that would make oxygen.
Yeah, 33% of the CO2 of the planet is made in concrete. So if you hear construction industries, or even quite worryingly, people who are really should be role models for the industry, who are just saying, promoting things like concretes that save 8% of the CO2 in the cement mix. They're just trying to perpetuate using concrete for as long as possible, when actually the better solution is to 33% down 8%. That's only down to 30% of the global CO2 of the year of the planet. But actually, if you make the step to do timber or stone instead, you're bringing that number to net zero. So just to make everyone quite, it's like, and that's the thing, it's like in CPD courses, continued professional development, they try to push concrete when really it's not a sustainable material at all.
You know, the biodome in Arizona, they had concrete, it was absorbing all the oxygen.
Yeah, because concrete does do that. Because when it cures, eventually it does absorb CO2, but very, very slowly. But the thing is, you're also taking resources from the planet, and the thing is, you've got to transport those to Mars. So that's a lot of waste. That's a lot of. Whereas if you've got trees,
bring some seeds and grow
them. So that's why I'm really pushing it, and I'm
cool. Well, I'll put a link to your channel.
Yeah, thanks very much.
And, I'll rewatch the video several times to really get what you're saying.
That's cool. Yeah.
Say your name once more.
Yeah, I'm Stephen. I'm from London in the UK. Usually, I'm documenting tall buildings in London. I do this. Yeah, I go around the sites to take photos. So like it's a record of history, and then eventually I make Microsoft Paint drawings, which I made about 10,000 of, because it's a style I've sort of stayed with, but it's a hobby around the proper engineering stuff, which I'm really excited about. So I kind of working on this, working on projects around this. It's amazing to be here.
All right, well, thank you.
Oh yeah, thanks very much. Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah, you too. Yeah.
Today's date, do you know what it is?
It's 1st of July 2022. So it would have been a year since Elon originally said this was going to launch. Okay. But of course, we've had lots of delays. But yeah, that's what I was saying. Everything's coming together. We are weeks away. So watch this space. Subscribe to OceanCam, and don't forget to hit the like, and send them some support as well, because you just come back here, and going to see history happening. So thanks very much.